So when I was about 17 years old, I lost 60 pounds in 3 months. Now, when I was very young, I was always a very athletic kid, one of the more athletic kids in my class. But in 4th grade, I got really sick to the point where I couldn't walk for a while. I found comfort in cooking and eating food, and I gained a lot of weight. So throughout middle school and high school, I was probably 60 pounds overweight. And, going back to my childhood, I'd always, I was obsessed with like Rocky and Bruce Lee and just action stars, fighting. I ended up becoming friends with someone at work who was a boxer, and his 2 brothers were both professional boxers, and he had a half brother who was a UFC fighter. So as I became friends with him, I started to train boxing. And we would put on like sauna suits, trash bags, take his pit bulls out and just go run. The pit bulls would drag me, and I just started running. So it really just started with running. And over the next few weeks, I just started to identify myself as a boxer. And after years of trying to lose weight, years of trying diets, came to realize is what finally made me successful was a complete mind shift. It had everything to do with how I now identified. I do what boxers do. I eat like boxers eat. I train like boxers train. And purely the total mindset shift is what allowed me to go from struggling to lose weight to losing 60 pounds in 3 months. This was really before I was lifting weights or anything like that. And this was also at a time where there was still a lot of old school belief about lifting weights and making you slow. So, we were doing a lot of like just body weight push-ups, dips, pull-ups, not lifting heavy weights. So I went from skinny fat to like skinny for the first time in my life. Now after that, I got into mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu. Long story short, I walked into a jiu-jitsu gym sparring with a jiu-jitsu guy who did MMA, but being completely helpless. And from that moment on, I started incorporating jiu-jitsu, got into mixed martial arts, and switched up my training. But it's just that identity shift that was so important for me. Another example in my life was that I used to smoke, and I remember also struggling over and over to quit smoking. I remember I was outside, I was at work, my friend came up to me and asked me if I wanted a cigarette, and I said, no, I'm trying to quit. And someone else that worked there looked at me and said, no, you're a non-smoker. And that was also a transitional time for me to quit smoking, to realize that if I wanted to quit smoking, I can't be quitting smoking. I am not a smoker. I don't smoke. So if you're struggling with weight loss, if you're struggling to hit your goals, I would suggest, you need to change your identity. You need to actually start identifying and becoming the person you want to be, whether that's a boxer or I'm a healthy person. Like, healthy people don't eat like this every day. Healthy people don't do this. Like, it's just changing your actual identity on who you want to become. And even me right now, so this is really, I'm talking about this because after becoming a dad to a 4-year-old, I have lost my identity a little bit. I've drifted off, and I've put on about 30 pounds that I am in the process of losing right now. And, I still do jiu-jitsu. I still lift weights every week. I'm consistent with that. So it's not like I've been sedentary, but I'm just not identifying myself as the same person I used to. And that's what I'm going to do now. So, I've decided to jump back into a jiu-jitsu competition. So I don't have it set which one yet. But I'm going to pick a weight class that is about 30 pounds less than I am at now, and hopefully find one that is, relatively soon, something that would really challenge me to get there in that amount of time, and I'm going to be forced to weigh in and be that weight on that day. I'm not going to cut a bunch of water weight either. That's not the point. The point is to actually get into fighting shape again. So that's my mindset now. I am a jiu-jitsu competitor at 30 pounds less than I am now. You know, I'm 36. I just want to be in shape, stay strong, stay on the mats, keep doing martial arts in my 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. You know, I just want to stay strong. The point is, even if I'm not a professional, I'm going to identify as a fighter and make my decisions based off who I am. A father, I'm a husband, I'm a Christian. To actually change your trajectory, to, if you've been struggling to lose weight, if you've been struggling to put on muscle, struggling to get in the gym, whatever it is, a lot of that comes from an identity shift. You don't actually think of yourself as a lean person, as a healthy person, and that switch has to come. Otherwise, you might be able to lose weight, but if you don't switch your identity, your old self is just going to come back. It's just going to keep coming back. So you're going to go through the yo-yo, lose your 20 pounds, gain it back, lose your 20 pounds, gain it back. And it's not until you actually identify differently that you're going to make major lasting changes. And I'm one to talk. Like I said, I'm currently in the process of having put on 30 more pounds than I want to. And so, you know, I challenge you, let's do this together. Let's switch our mindset. I'm gonna lose 30 pounds within the next 3 months. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I need to do to be in the weight class I need to be. And anyway, I hope you'll join me. There's great power in switching your mindset, identifying as the person you want to be.